All right, we have SMU, a 12-point favorite on the road at East Carolina. We're getting all sorts of conferences on these weeknight games here that I'm excited to talk about. This game has an over-under of 49.5 points, and it kicks off on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the main ESPN channel. This one actually trumps West Virginia and Houston in terms of network favorability here. This line opened SMU minus 9.5, and then it's been all Mustangs since. They took a fast movement there until they got 12 and about slowed down at a dead number. East Carolina, they've tumbled this season. After they lost Holton Ahlers, Keaton Mitchell, look, they were 33rd in points per drive last season. They're 128th now. 130th in net points per drive. Kelly, it's bad, man. They have 0 FBS wins. The team goes back and forth between quarterbacks Mason Garcia and Alex Flynn. Flynn's a sub 50% completion guy, and Garcia's a sub 6-yard ADOT. So we're not talking about either one having a particular leg up on the other, and they just waffle. They just go game to game. Whoever's the hot hand, quote unquote, because neither one's really a hot hand. That's kind of what they ride. They're not a very disciplined team. Look, on defense, they give up outside contain a lot, particularly scrambling quarterbacks. The offensive line doesn't communicate well, at least not from what I see in their games, and they've got a lot of free blitzers that run through the line. You can look at that Marshall game. There was like 3 or 4 white hats in the backfield like every play. So we're not talking about a very disciplined team on offense or defense. On the other side, SMU's offense, they're not really off the ground yet. They're only 84th nationally in success rate. Preston Stone, who I had high expectations for, is only completing 58% of his passes. Just for reference, Tanner Mordecai was near 70%. And this is a similar, if not the same, offensive system that they had in place. So Preston Stone not living up to his predecessor yet, but the defense has been really surprising to me. They held Oklahoma to 14 points going into that fourth quarter. They're 17th on early down EPA versus East Carolina's offense, who's 123rd on early down. So they're not getting the rock going very well. They're finding themselves in second and long, third and long pretty consistently here. And East Carolina is also 111th in third down conversion rate, just 32%. So they're not doing well in the early downs, and then they're not converting the third downs. And that's pretty evident with the amount of points that they're scoring against teams. Not a lot. The biggest mismatch here for me is the SMU defensive line against East Carolina's offensive line. The Pirates grade as the worst pass blocking team in the country as we speak, according to Pro Football Focus, versus TCU. SMU's defensive line was like 3 to 4 yards in the backfield almost every player. They're getting massive push off there. They're finding gaps, shedding their tackles, and making plays in the backfield. For the most part, TCU was able to run away with that game, though. However, they were able to offset losing the line of scrimmage battle with explosives. Guys were running free in the secondary. That's a testament to having some pretty good and pretty fast wide receivers in Fort Worth. That's something East Carolina does not have. In fact, they don't have a player or a receiver on their team with an ADOT over 11.5 yards. So it's a lot of check down, conservative stuff. This team's broken.
Brett, this one's got a watchability score of 5.7. Again, that's out of 10. It's all about SMU for me in this one. I have SMU minus 10.5. It's a 78% win expectancy. SMU is and has been every single week the favorite to make and win the AAC championship by my numbers. The Mustangs' power rating is up more than a field goal compared to the preseason. They're currently number 38 nationally. That's number 1 in the conference. SMU also has the Americans' best offense at number 39 and the second best defense at number 61. The only game in which my numbers make SMU a single-digit favorite the rest of the regular season is at Memphis in Week 12. My numbers currently favor the Mustangs by only 2 in that one. They are a double-digit favorite in every other game by my numbers currently. At 1-4, East Carolina has 1.4 fewer wins than I projected through 6 weeks. That's just outside the bottom 10 on my over-under achievers list, in the wrong direction there for the Pirates. The defense has been pretty good, honestly. They rank number 70 nationally for me. That's number 3 in the conference, but it's the offense that's just been dreadful. They rank number 126 nationally out of 133 teams. There are wins to be had on the Pirates' upcoming schedule. I believe that as I look forward and look at what my projected lines are, expected win or win expectancies for those games, I just don't think it's in the cards this week against this SMU team that I have as the best in the conference. With a win, SMU's chances to reach the title game improve to 79%. However, with a loss, the Mustangs will fall behind the winner of Tulane at Memphis, which is definitely the game of the week in the American here. So it's I'm not projecting they're going to lose, but it'd be costly if you lose a game like this, one that you're a big favorite in with regard to their chances to make the American Championship game, especially when you look, they do have that Memphis game on the road later in the year. You don't want to be in a position where you have to win that one to get in if you're SMU. Bottom line, I have SMU minus 10.5. It's a 22% chance that East Carolina earns their first conference win of the year at home here.
Yeah, it's hard to bet into a number that's moved so far. It's 12's a dead number, so honestly, you can feel free to wait, see if there's any sort of buyback on East Carolina at all, because betting minus 12 and minus 13, there's not really a huge percentage difference in terms of break-even point there. But honestly, if I have a play here, I'm leaning under the point total. The best of that number is also gone, but I don't know that's low enough. Look, East Carolina has scored the following points against FBS opponents: 3, 13, 28, and 17. But look, you have to look into that 28 points deeper than just on the surface, because it was against App State and 2 of the scores came on defense. So the offense hadn't scored more. Get this, Kelly. The offense has not scored more than one single touchdown against an FBS team this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's a legit concern there. There's no really two ways about that.
Yeah, so I'm taking under the point total here, 49.5. I will absolutely have that on my card this Thursday.
I don't usually talk about the betting lines, Brett. You're here for that, and you do a great job with it. I do have to say, it's not necessarily a good thing, but I don't know why it provides me some level of comfort or satisfaction when the line will open, say, on one side of my line, and then by the time the game comes, it's gone to the other side. So you said it opened SMU minus 9.5. My number's SMU minus 10.5. I don't move it. That's what my number is. Now it's SMU minus 12. So it has crossed by my number. For some reason, that just gives me satisfaction. Again, there's really no rhyme or reason. It's not a good or bad thing. But to know that I'm in that ballpark on this game, and as is the case in many, it's a good sign for the model and trying to, make sure that we're in alignment with where we need to be to accurately project these teams. So just of note there, as you said, it made me think of it. I haven't said that in a while on the show, I don't think.
Well, we've talked about it probably in the distant past, but I have such a love-hate relationship with my number being on market, because that means that my power ratings are, decent, but I also don't have an edge to play in it. So I'm kind of I kind of wish mine were a little bit off market. But being on market is certainly better in the long run than not being.